Sup, y'all? It's me. It's your boy Asmongold, and as a lot of you guys probably know, patch 7.2 recently came out on the PTR about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and whenever the announcement was made and the PTR was released, it kind of caught a lot of people by surprise because at that point, Nighthold had just been released. I don't even think Mythic was out by then, but I know for certain that Mythic Gul'dan was not even dead by then, so nobody had killed Mythic Gul'dan, and they're already talking about bringing out the new raid. Now, for previous expansions, and like in Burning Crusade, I believe Black Temple came out before anybody could even enter it, but now with the catch-up mechanisms and everything like that, the way that raids are released and everything does kind of change the way that people interpret bringing out those raids, and also being able to clear those raids on time is a little bit more important for higher-end players because there are achievements and mounts and stuff like that that are associated with clearing raids at certain points in time, like Cutting Edge or, Mythic-only mounts, etc. So it got a lot of people kind of concerned that Blizzard is bringing out content too fast, that they're going to kind of outdate the current content, and, basically that content is coming out too fast. And I want to talk about that in this video, and more specifically what I want to talk about is people are concerned because I think it was a few days ago, Blizzard said that they're going to be doing Tomb of Sargeras, which is the next raid after Nighthold. They're going to be doing Tomb of Sargeras raid testing in a matter of days, I believe. Now, Blizzard did come back around, and I believe they said that the testing that they're going to be doing is only, or it's not only, but it's primarily for server and stability purposes, but obviously soon after that they will be doing actual boss tuning and mechanics testing. So a lot of players, especially in like very, very high-end communities, much higher than myself in terms of rating, they were a little bit concerned because many of those guilds are, well, except for three guilds at this point, are still working on Mythic Nighthold, and as soon as Mythic Nighthold is done, they're going to have to go straight into a new raid. Now, usually whenever you're in a very hardcore guild, I used to be in one of these back in Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, whenever you cleared content, you could basically just chill and relax and do 1 week of clear or 1 day of clears, and that was it. You didn't really need to worry about it, and you had like these very big lull periods in between the time of like very, very intense progression where you would raid, 5 to 6 nights a week. For me personally, I raided 5 nights a week back in Burning Crusade, and on the weekends we would do like Gruul's Lair and Karazhan just to gear up alts to help our other mains in different runs or to funnel them gear or something else like that. So basically, in a very high-end guild, you're going to be raiding and playing every single day. Now, whenever all the content is cleared, you kind of have a bit of a relax point, and you can kind of just sit back and say, I did awesome this tier, or I didn't do awesome this tier, what am I going to do better? And obviously, whenever the new raids are going to be coming out so quickly, that period is shortened, and especially whenever you're talking about very, very super, like top 20 probably raiding, a lot of those people take off work or whatever to actually raid in their first few weeks, and whenever that's happening on such a rapid basis, most people don't really have the ability to take off that much time from work. So a lot of those guilds are kind of getting frustrated, and a lot of those players are. I don't really know a lot, but I've seen this sentiment on Twitter a lot, and I'd kind of like to talk about that personally. Now, I can see obviously why they're concerned, and I think that makes a lot of sense from their perspective, but I think that whenever you look at it from Blizzard's perspective, and whenever you look at it and you see that obviously people that are in that type of lifestyle and everything are part of the like 99.999%, right? This is like less than 1 in 10,000 players probably does this. This isn't necessarily something you want to stifle and postpone the content for the other 900 or like 9,999 people if it's 1 out of 10,000 in order to make this extra one person happy to where they don't really have to spend as much time. Now, I think that Blizzard obviously is one of the problems that I think that they've run into is that over the years and over the different types of content that WoW creates and produces and offers, basically one of the things that's happened is that they've attracted such a diverse audience of players that any decision that Blizzard makes is going to be disliked by a large portion of the player base, right? If they keep LFR, people are happy, and also people are mad, and if they get rid of it, it's the same thing. If they get rid of flying mounts, some people are happy and some people are mad. So like basically any decision, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. So they're going to be immediately met with criticism no matter what, and obviously Blizzard is put in kind of a precarious position with that, and I don't necessarily know what they can do because over the years. It's been like, what, this game's been out for like 12 years, right? So actually it's probably going on 13 now. And obviously you can't just get rid of those people, but at the same time you have to do what's best for the most people. And I feel like bringing out content a little bit more quickly is probably going to be better for those people. Now, that's not to say that it isn't without some some concessions to the other side. Now, one of the big problems that I think that Legion has had, especially whenever it comes to time gating, and if you basically, like with artifact power or artifact knowledge, if you just wait for a week, your efforts are going to be much more efficient than if you had played that week. So in a way, it almost rewards people for waiting to play. And obviously it doesn't, but whenever you look at it from that perspective and you have that mindset, if you're trying to look at things and do things efficiently, all you have to do is wait, and then you can do something much more easily, right? Because you get more artifact power. It's going to encourage people to basically, in a way, not really play the game. And with the amount of catch-up mechanisms that obviously 7.2 is going to bring, it might derail, or it might kind of subvert or second guess or undercut the amount of effort and time that people put into Nighthold and the amount of gear and everything like that they got out of it. So if they're trying to subvert that and to second guess that, and people don't feel like they're able to take that gear into Tomb of Sargeras, and that gear really gives them a sizable and noticeable increase because everybody else is going to be increased artificially through the artifact power changes that are happening in 7.2. I'll talk about that in just a minute. Or also just catch-up mechanisms through gear that you can get in 7.2 inside the Broken Shore. So basically what's going to be happening in 7.2 with the artifact weapons, I did want to talk about this in a video, but I didn't want to devote an entire video to this, is basically all of the Paragon traits. So if you guys don't know, traits 1 through 34 are the actual like little points that you click, and after that 35 to 54, those 20 talents are going to be, I think it's 20, well it is 20, but however that works out, there are 20 Paragon points, and the Paragon points basically just give you a flat damage increase, it gives you a flat healing increase if you're a healer, and it gives you a flat armor increase if you're a tank. So those Paragon points are being taken out of the game, and everybody's artifact power up to 35, anything above 35 is being refunded, or 34 actually is being refunded, and you can respend those artifact power traits however you want, right? And you get something like 60,000, I believe it's 70 or 50 or something like 50 to 60 million artifact power back if you have all 54 traits. So the reason this can kind of be concerning, and this is another example of like the time gating that I'm talking about, is that the new traits that you're going to be able to get in patch 7.2, they start after you get like the first one or two. The next trait is like 15 million. Okay, now you might say, what the fuck, I'm never going to finish my weapon, but artifact knowledge is going up. Right now it's capped at 25, but in 7.2 it's going to be increased up to 40, right? So if you have artifact knowledge 40, that's going to be something like, I'm trying to think of what the math is going to be, probably like 100,000% extra, if it's the multiplicative value scaling. It's going to be something like 100,000% extra artifact power. So it's going to be like 4 times more than you're even getting right now. So it's not going to be this unobtainable wall that you're never going to finish, but at the same time, you have to allow players to get some sort of increase and a power increase or a reward for actually playing the game more. And the more catch-up mechanisms and the faster they introduce those catch-up mechanisms into the game, the less rewarded and the less compelling and basically the less compelled people feel to play the game at that point in time, right? So I can give you guys kind of an example if you want to look at it from back in like Burning Crusade or back in any of the like basically vanilla Burning Crusade, and I can kind of give you guys why I think this can be an issue. So whenever SSC and TK was out, you had to get all the gear from SSC and TK in order to progress into Black Temple, right? And if you didn't do that, you weren't able to get into the Black Temple. So if you were a raider, there was an importance and there was a sense of urgency to actually get that SSC and TK gear even before Black Temple came out. So in order to get to, like, let's say tier 6, you had to go to tier 5. Now, if whenever tier 6 came out, it boosted everybody up arbitrarily up to maybe tier 4.5 or tier 5 exactly, that incentive and that compelling need to actually play so you can get to that next level whenever it becomes available becomes less powerful, right? So you're not really going to feel like, oh wow, I really want to clear this raid right now, because you just know in a few months or whatever they're going to make it a lot easier, and the gear and everything you get out of it is going to be made basically useless. And so not having those lasting power rewards that you get out of the game through like the Paragon points or whatever else, that might really kind of demoralize players and make them feel like they're not really getting a lot out of their time. And I can use another example just so you guys can fully understand. Maybe you didn't play a lot in Burning Crusade, or you might know the vanilla raids better. In vanilla, like, you'd want to farm as much as you can at a molten core, right? So whenever BWL actually came out, you would be able to do BWL. But if whenever BWL came out, they had like 10 mans or 20 mans or another 40 man you could do that was a lot easier than Molten Core, that would give basically the same gear, so you could go directly into BWL, or you could just do it anyway through like a lower difficulty like they have now. The incentive to do Molten Core whenever it's current content is not really as big. And I feel like this is something that they've run into a lot. I feel like this happened a lot in Trial of Valor. A lot of people didn't really feel very compelled to actually do the raid because it was like a mini raid in between Emerald Nightmare and Nighthold, and it was very, very difficult, and it really just, in a lot of ways, to put it plainly, it just wasn't really worth the work. And I'm worried that Nighthold Mythic might turn out to be that way depending on how fast they release these raids. So I hope that Blizzard can find a very good medium and a middle ground between giving players a way that they can give themselves advantages later on in the game, and also giving everybody some form of an even playing field. Because coming from the other side, obviously, if you're coming back to the game in 7.2 and you've got these guys that have like 54 traits in their weapon and there's no way for you to catch up at all, it's going to be kind of demoralizing for you to try and actually catch up with those players, and you're going to feel like you're at this disadvantage that you can never really overcome. So they have to find a middle ground with that, and I feel like the whole artifact knowledge system works kind of well in that way, but in the same way it disincentivizes a lot of play, and I feel like it doesn't reward players enough that play a lot early and try to get those early advantages. I don't think it really rewards them enough, but that's of course my opinion. But whenever obviously Artifact Knowledge 40 comes out and people are actually able to get that, getting the rest of the traits shouldn't really be much of a bigger deal, I don't think, unless the way they change the scaling past the 15 million trait. Probably shouldn't be much of a bigger deal than it was to get 54 traits whenever you have Artifact Knowledge 25. Right, so I can see how higher end players can be frustrated with this, and being able to take what you have into the next patch and have that really make a sizable increase and difference in what you do is something that's very rewarding for players and gives them another reason to actually do content whenever it's current. And whenever you take that away via catch-up mechanisms that are going to come out and easier difficulties, etc., that disincentivizes doing current rating content. So I hope that Blizzard can find a middle ground between the two, between allowing people a way to catch up and actually still get back into the game, and also giving players who are very serious and want to play a lot a way to where they can get sizable power increases without necessarily just waiting for them like artifact knowledge. But I feel like both sides have some pretty compelling arguments, and personally, I don't really know where I stand. I think if you want to look at something very, very specific, I feel like you should be able to buy extra levels of artifact knowledge if you have a lot of order hall resources or something like that, or a lot of artifact power, or some kind of way to buy more artifact knowledge to where you can fast track that so it's not just a waiting game. But outside of that, I feel like it hasn't really been that bad. But anyway, guys, I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. I kind of went through a lot of ideas and a lot of things that I wanted to talk about in this video. I haven't really wanted to do like a minor video about artifact knowledge and a minor video about artifact power and a minor video about Tomb of Sargeras, and so I kind of wanted to put it all into one video and just talk about it as a whole, because I do think that they're all kind of interconnected. So if you guys have any other comments, questions, concerns, if you think I'm right, go ahead and let me know. If you think I'm wrong, I know you're going to let me know anyway. So I'm kind of curious to hear what you guys have to think. I don't really think that the raids are coming out too soon. I can see why a high-end raider would think that, very, very high-end raider would think that, but Blizzard just really can't afford to cater to that, 1 out of 10,000. That's my opinion. I think they should cater to making that experience the goal, right, maybe, but not necessarily making that the norm and developing content around that 1 out of 10,000. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I've got, so again, let me know what you think, but thanks for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe.